Hello everyone, this is Troy Moore from the Law Office of Troy Moore in Houston, Texas on the Northwest side. A question I commonly hear talked about and asked about is what is a living will? And people commonly get it wrong on what a living will is. A living will, for starters, is not a will. A lot of people call my office and will say, I need to get my living will done, when they are actually talking about getting their last will and testament prepared. It's a poor name for it, calling it a living will, because it makes people think about a last will and testament, which a last will and testament is what identifies who gets your property after you pass away. A living will does something far different. So a living will is more similar to a power of attorney than it is to a last will and testament. Nonetheless, people commonly think a living will does something with their property. A living will actually is something that is you making a decision regarding your health care in the event you have a terminal condition or an irreversible condition. So the living will only applies, first off, you have to be incapacitated and unable to communicate with your physician. If you can talk to your doctor and you've only been given hours or a day to live, the living will never applies. But the living will document applies if you are unable to communicate with your doctor and you have been diagnosed with a terminal condition or an irreversible condition. And then within the living will, you pick what kind of treatment you want, or more importantly, and usually, what kind of medical treatment you don't want if you've been diagnosed with a terminal or an irreversible condition. So a terminal condition is something that is probably going to get you, and probably within 6 months in all reasonable medical probability, even with life-sustaining treatment. An irreversible condition is something that is probably going to get you at some point. It's just not necessarily going to be medically probable that it will end your life within 6 months, even with life-sustaining treatment. And then with the living will, you have two choices to make under each category, one for terminal condition, one for an irreversible condition. So for a terminal condition, you have to choose whether or not you want life-sustaining treatment. The common answer that about 98 to 99% of people pick is, I request that all treatments other than those needed to keep me comfortable be discontinued or withheld, and my physician allow me to die as gently as possible. Or the other selection you can make says, I request that I be kept alive in this terminal condition using available life-sustaining treatment. And then the same goes for the irreversible condition. You have to make a choice between one of the two items, just like you had to make a choice for in the terminal condition category. So again, under the irreversible condition category, you have to pick between one of the two of the following. The first one says, I request that all treatments other than those needed to keep me comfortable be discontinued or withheld, and my physician allow me to die as gently as possible. Or the other choice is, I request that I be kept alive in this irreversible condition using all available life-sustaining treatment. Again, about 98, 99% of people pick the option that says, I request that all treatments other than those needed to keep me comfortable be discontinued or withheld, and my physician allow me to die as gently as possible. One of the reasons is, nowadays we can be hooked up to machines almost indefinitely, even when there is no brain activity. Those are very expensive days in the hospital. People don't consider it a very good quality of life, and most folks aren't keen on the idea of spending all of the money that they have left, perhaps, on medical bills for an ICU room. So that is the basics of what a living will is. The benefits of having a living will are rather great, because this is a document that you're making that is going to be presented to your healthcare provider. It is actually you telling a healthcare provider ahead of time, this is my decision should this happen. And it is a situation that happens more often than not in most people's lives at some point. Therefore, there's a special document that is made for it. So instead of like a power of attorney where you are authorizing a third party to make these other medical decisions for you, which you don't even know what the decisions are because they haven't happened yet, this is a decision that comes up a lot and merits a special document. And therefore, since it is you telling your own doctor directly what your decision is, it is literally coming from the horse's mouth. So, and another side benefit to it is that also different from a power of attorney, this is you making a decision yourself and not leaving it up to your medical power of attorney agent that you've designated to make a decision, such as the big decision on whether or not the machines are turned off or whether or not any life-saving measures are taken. It is a way to take that weighty decision off of your family member's hands, and your family member that decides to turn off the machines, pull the plug, or whatever you would like to call it, it really comforts them in the fact that they know that this is what mom or dad or daughter or brother or whomever the individual is, that this is what their final wishes really are. And they can be more at peace with their decision instead of having second thoughts about it down the line. So a living will is a very good estate planning document to have, especially nowadays with how expensive hospitals can be, and also in the event that a hospital is attempting to keep somebody under treatment long after the time that the person would ever have wanted to stay under treatment to begin with. So get your living will done. It's not a very long document and it's very easy to complete. If you have any questions about it, please comment on the YouTube video or on my blog post, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, thank you for watching. This is Troy Moore from the Law Office of Troy Moore.